my next guest, she's the co-founder of Sacbe. She's an experiential producer. She's the founder of Inner Refuge, a production company that specializes in uniting people and igniting change through ancestral knowledge, energy work, and practices that guide human consciousness towards realignment with the planet. Please welcome Maria Sanchez Yatriki. Thank you so much for being here, Maria.
Thank you, CK, for the invitation. I'm very happy to participate.
So, first question, what is Sacbe and what does it stand for?
Sacbe means the white path in Mayan.
Mm-hmm.
It was the roads that they built that connected the sacred sites. And it represents the sacredness of our culture for me.
Mm. And what does it stand for?
It stands for tradition, it stands for ancestral wisdom, it stands for cultural heritage.
Mm. And so cultural heritage specifically for the Mexican culture or
Yeah,
just
Yes,
culture?
yes, specifically for the Mexican culture, for
Mm-hmm.
the we work mostly with the Mexica tradition,
Mm-hmm.
and also we weave in some elements of the Mayan tradition,
Mm-hmm.
mainly Mexica.
Okay. So since I'm a newbie to that specific culture, is there anything, if you were to teach CK, what is a tradition or what is a specific value that that particular culture that you value so much? That would be really great.
Yeah, of course. So I think the most representative and valuable thing of the Mexica tradition is the work we do within the medicine wheel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a tradition that teaches us how to balance the elements within ourselves, working with the different directions and with the different elements.
Hmm.
Um, it involves a lot of singing with the huehue, the drum. It
Hmm.
involves also a very important part of this tradition is a dance, the Mexica dance, and this is a tradition that has been taught for hundreds of years, and it is a way of us to communicate with the spiritual world, with the elements, with everything, with the earth, with everything that surrounds us.
Mm. I love it. That's a beautiful articulation of that. So how do you incorporate that into the Sacbe Think Camp?
Um, First of all, we incorporated by asking for permission.
Mm.
Every gathering that we do, every retreat that we host or event, we use the tools and the spiritual techniques that our teachers, our elders have been transmitting to us, to ask for permission to the elements, to the place, to the spirits of each place, to open and to give us guidance, to give us permission to do the work that we're doing. That would be the first element of it. Um, Also, we use the singing, the drum. We teach people how to open their voices through coming together in one heart. The hueve in our tradition represents the heart,
Mm.
and the moment that we get together around this heart, around this drum, connecting us in one beat with the drum, we're connecting our hearts. And it is a reminder that we are all together, synchronized, working together. And we can harmonize our hearts by with this drum, with this singing, and these chants, these songs that we're sharing are also part of our tradition for hundreds of years, and we believe that they carry a lot of medicine in them. So this would be another teaching or practice that we share
Mm-hmm.
in our gatherings, in our events. Um, Also, the work we do with the elements, with the saumador, with the saumador is the how we were the incense holder where
Mm.
we burn different medicines like copal and sage and
Mm.
tobacco, and also the work we do around the fire. So we work a lot with connecting with the fire, which we believe it is an energy, like a very old energy that transmits a lot of wisdom, and we see different representations of the fire with when we are working together. So I think those would be the most essential parts.
All right. So I want to double click on rituals in a moment, but let's zoom out for a moment about Sacbe, the think camp, for a bit.
Mhm.
How long has it been around, and what got you started Sacbe in the first place?
So the community of Sacbe started coming together in around 13 years ago
Mm-hmm.
through a non-profit gathering that do we did every year in a self-sustainable community in the middle of the jungle of Quintana Roo, and we convoked every year our community to participate in this gathering to raise funds for different nonprofit organizations. And this is an event that from the beginning had a spiritual aspect to it, where we weaved in these traditions uh, combined with music and wellness. So
Mm.
from the beginning, it was we were proposing a new way of celebrating, a conscious celebration.
Mm.
And this was the beginning, the very beginning of like our us together as a community. In 2018, Maxa Camp invited
Mm.
us to create a village with them, and this was the first year we did the camp at Burning Man, and also was the end of that chapter of the jungle gatherings. Uh,
Mm.
So when we started the camp, we also finished the chapters of that chapter of the jungle gathering.
Okay,
And
so pause 1 second. So the community has been around for 13 years, and Burning Man Think Camp is since 2018. So the
Mhm,
community is really the engine that powers whatever manifestation, whatever expression that looks like. So you closed up the jungle and you
mhm.
started the Think Camp. Why did you close down the jungle?
I feel like it was like the natural, organic end of it. Like I feel like we the Tulum and this area of Mexico changed a lot in those 8 years that we did the event,
Hmm.
and I feel like when we did the last event, we all felt that it was the end of that chapter.
Mm, mm, mm. And it's actually interesting that you went from the jungle to the desert. So so what gave birth to the desert? As in,
um,
as in energetically, symbolism wise, like why
mhm.
is the desert more compelling, more attractive than say the jungle?
maybe not more attractive, is different, it's a
Uh,
different energy.
mm,
um I think the what brought us into the desert was a brotherhood and sisterhood and collaboration. That
mm,
was, I feel like, what the initial fire, the initial, the initiator. Because it was our brother community, Maxa, and also Mayan warrior, who invited us to collaborate on this project. So, feeling supported, feeling that it was, we were part of something bigger,
mm,
that maybe we could also have impact in more people, and bring our print and our seed
mm,
into this larger city and community that is Burning Man.
mm. I love it. So one thing that from my research, I saw a lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
Whether it's, and then you also give a lot of attribution, a lot of credit to, hey, so and so did the video, so and so did the music, and then
Mhm.
it's very obvious that's, just from the footprints that you have out on the internet, there's a lot of collaboration happening. So I'm curious, why did community and collaboration become so important from your perspective as the co-founder, the architect of these experiences? Why is community and collaboration so important?
I think I feel that without community we cannot get very far. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we can achieve more growth when we're working in a sangha or in a
Mm-hmm.
community. When you have people that support that support each other in their spiritual path, in their spiritual growth, that everyone keeps accountable from each other, and I feel like this is why the community is so important, because we are a project that is based on that, in community, in spiritual growth, in celebrating, and it is focused on participation and collaboration.
So for the people who, let's say, are very, very capable, it's very easy for them to say, nah, it's community takes too much work, too much time, too much, bickering back and forth to do community type oriented projects. It's faster if they just do it themselves, right? So that's the curse of the capable people. So were you always very community oriented, or there was something, a event that happened that have you change your mind?
I feel like I was always community oriented from
Mm,
also from the family where I was brought in, and the example of my parents, what they do. I feel like it's always been, my life has been marked, if it's I don't know if it's the right word, but by the work in community and with our culture. Um,
mm,
and at the same time, I feel like the same the work and the path and working within community has been giving me those insights and those on that understanding of how to empower um, our community to take leadership.
mm,
Because in the beginning I don't think I had the tools, and it's been a learning process and a journey
mm,
of how to keep understanding. Maybe my nature in the beginning was more a solo mission, and
mm-hmm.
slowly it's been growing more into community and collaboration.
Oh, beautiful. So, what are some of those tools, to foster community collaborations and contribution and allowing? Yeah. So, what are some of those tools?
Yeah. I would say listening,
Mhm.
like having a lot of conversations with the people that surround you, the core team, the core um, community, uh, receiving a lot of feedback. Um, Also, being clear with the communication and the expectations, and vision,
Mhm.
having a clear vision of why is why is that we're doing what we're doing, and what is the vision for the community, and where are we going.
Okay, so on that note, I want to focus on the think camp, but obviously there are lessons in the, from running think camps to business, family, community, society as a whole. So, but I do want to focus on the think camp. So when Sacbe was conceived, you said since 2018, right?
Mhm.
Um, how is it governed? Like, how was the vision formulated from the beginning? Was it, benevolent dictatorship, right? Where it's coming from one person and goes down, or was it more consensus basis? Like, here's a community, let's, talk for hundreds of hours and formulate what is the vision of what value we stand for and so forth. How did you formulate and form the vision?
Mhm. In the very beginnings of Sacbe, Sacbe, the event that took place in the jungle we started it together with my ex life partner
Mm-hmm.
and two other friends,
Mm.
and
Four people.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and at this time, it was each of us had a different background, and we were a good complement to each other. I had more of a production, logistics background,
Mm-hmm.
and also creative in the sense of like experiential creation,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one had more experience with management, and the other one had more experience with music. So it was like a good complement, and at the time it was a very small project. We were just the first events, we were just making events for 150 people.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very balanced in terms of like what the contribution that each of us had, and the ideas that each of us had. The other one was the founder of this self-sustainable community in the jungle. That was the other partner, so he was more involved with all of the governance of that community and the communications with that community. Um, and yeah, so it was very balanced at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like, and it stayed like this until we finished the last jungle gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started the camp, um, we're a baby camp still.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're still there's so much that we are learning every year. And in the beginning, I feel like I was taking more weight and more decisions, and slowly it's been changing in that sense. More campers are getting involved, more support, more. Our team is taking lead of more areas. So yeah, it's still in a it's still changing and evolving in that sense.
Well, I mean, Jennifer Russell of Mystic recommended you and to me, and obviously, Sakbe has made an impression on her. So the camp may be young, but the impressions are being made by people are taking recognition to it, right?
Thank you. Yeah, it's only our third year on the playa, and I feel like we have so much to learn from leaders from other camps.
Mm. So how do you govern? In terms of the reason why I'm asking that specific question is this, because especially young camps,
Mm-hmm.
they're very ambitious, and they may want to do large things, and some of them are able to pull it off, some of them are not able to, so there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
heartaches in that. So I think governance is
Mm-hmm.
an important topic for aspirational camp organizers to think
Mm-hmm.
about from the very beginning. So I'm curious to
Yeah,
know, knowing what you know today,
yeah,
how what has worked for Sacbe in terms of
yeah.
governance.
So, I feel like the way I govern is I believe in baby steps and organic growth, and keeping things as simple as possible, and functional. Um, and what it has really, what we started doing last year, in terms of like community, on the community aspect, we created three different committees, um,
Mm,
and one of them is finance, the other one is inner growth, and the other one is community.
mm,
And there's different leads and experts on each committee, and what we're doing is like dive deep into this. I think they are like the main subjects for us, the pillars of the camp, like, and sustainability, sorry, and
mm,
sustainability. So, for example, in sustainability is like, how can we slowly take steps into becoming uh, uh, to reducing our footprint, um, and what are the technologies that we can bring in, and what are the practices and the habits that we can change and we can incentivize our campers to do, so we can be more sustainable and aware of this aspect. um, and there's a lot of different calls throughout the year with the committees, and also the campers are invited to participate in these calls, to take decisions, to, but it's all organic, slow. For example, this year, in terms of sustainability, what we our goal was to recycle, compost, um, and reduce our petrol consumption and our water consumption. And next year it is to uh, solar power and one area of the camp, for example. And so this is the way. I don't know if with this I'm answering your question, or would you like me to address another aspect?
No, I mean this is good. So you have committees who
Mm-hmm,
is responsible for specific pillars in your camp, and then you're empowering them throughout
mm-hmm,
the year to be able to lead and guide the direction of those specific pillars, right? So that's what
mm-hmm.
I'm gathering so far. Yes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. In terms of community, for example, within the committee of community, it is, what are within the community, we also circle in that inner growth,
Hmm.
and what are the subjects and the teachers that we want to share, and also organizing a separate committee for this, so people that are part of the camp can keep engaging throughout the year. And
Hmm.
also, there's so many healers and facilitators in our community, in our camp, that they all would like to share
Hmm.
their teachings and their practices. So creating all of that content and that activity, interactivity, to um, keep engaging in a deeper way with our community. So downloading all of these ideas is what the committee of community does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then finance, we're starting to explore um, the blockchain world, but baby steps. No, it's not a completely go all the way to a DAO or something like this, but slowly, how can we start maybe using NFTs to fundraise or things like this? So yeah, these are the different elements that I think they are key to our governance at the moment.
Okay, so before I go into the specifics of what have you learned, I'm curious because Burning Man is a collection of social experiments, right? In
Mhm.
Sacbe, it's in a way a social experiment inside of this big container of social experiments. So I'm curious, what ideas is Sacbe experimenting
Mm,
in terms of the greater, yeah, what big ideas is Sacbe experimenting?
in terms of projects or
The theme, the philosophy, the vision,
uh-huh.
like good.
So I would say that our main um, purpose with the camp
Mm-hmm.
is to use it as a vessel for growth
Mm-hmm.
and for evolution of our community.
Mm,
Um, and to do it while celebrating.
mm,
Um, and to our vision is to to create uh, a happy content
mm,
uplifting community, and also within Burning Man to create a soft landing. I
mm,
feel like the weather um, the weather can in Birmingham can be harsh.
mm,
So sometimes, so providing that nest and keep it as rooted as possible. That's our vision. Like
mm,
keep it to remind us. Of like what are the the ancestral what is the ancestral wisdom telling us? How can
mm,
we apply these tools? I feel like sometimes in Burning Man everything is kind of like technological and and
mm,
um, and masculine sometimes.
mm.
So our mission and our vision is to keep it simple, to keep it as simple as possible, organic growth, and share these seeds of wisdom.
Just looking at the content, the limited content that I see,
Mhm,
it feels very warm. It
mhm,
feels very community driven.
mhm,
I love the music,
mhm.
and I wish I had known about Sacbe when I was at Burning Man this year. I would have visited. I would have hung out a lot over there. It's a
I would have
very
loved to have you
oh,
this
thank you, thank you.
year.
So, okay, so inside of growth in celebration, that's what I gather from your answer so far.
Mhm,
If that's the overarching theme or overarching direction,
mhm.
what have you learned that worked, and what have you learned that didn't work inside of the Burning Man container?
Yeah. What works very well is the content.
The
The
what?
the content.
The content.
The the I feel like what it doesn't have so much of a tangible value. Like
Mm-hmm.
what the what people experience, that is like the most nourishing part of our offering.
Mm,
What it's being transmitted, the energy that all of the our core campers carry and share with us, the teachings,
mm,
um, the music, the medicine, all of these. And by the medicine I mean the songs, the not
mm-hmm.
the
Yeah, I understand.
uh, and what it hasn't worked. um I think we have a lot of growth, a lot of space to grow still in the how can we better, how can we embody
Mm-hmm.
Burning Man principles better.
Hmm.
Well, this is our, I think, our main challenge, you know. And Burning Man principles, I would say, uh, the most important for us is radical self-reliance. I mean, I would say that that is like a very important principle. And it's not that it hasn't worked, it's just that there's room for improvement.
Hmm.
And that is something that in our calls with the community and everyone, we're always trying to explore new ideas of how to, you know, acculturize people, our campers, the new campers, in a fun way, in a way where they're going to feel engaged and they are going to embrace the principles.
Yeah. Is there anything specific that you like to say, like, hey, we tried this thing, it doesn't really work, it doesn't embody the radical self-reliance? Anything specific that you can point to?
I would say maybe that sometimes we uh, try to, our offering, our nature is to offer a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the sense of like, you know, we see them all as family and want them to be like, have the softest landing as possible, and that's our
Mm-hmm.
nature. And sometimes what I think what that maybe doesn't work in our favor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, like
I
sometimes we have to be maybe more strict and tougher with the, you know, the responsibilities.
Oh, okay. So like shifts and things like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, shifts. We saw a major improvement this year,
Mm-hmm.
in how people in the attendance to shifts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I am very proud in our campers in general.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, shifts. It's at the end of the week we saw everything. You know, started. You know, not show up. So how do we incentivize our campers? Yeah, there's something maybe that is not working there. You
Yeah.
know, something that we're doing wrong. That at the end of the week people start to disappear.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if
What?
this is something that all camps suffer.
Oh, they do. Yes.
Okay.
I talked to 7 different camp organizers. It's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and it's cool to talk to different camp organizers because then we can, brainstorm and share ideas of what worked and what hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
mean, it's an interesting tension, right? Because you had said you want to provide a soft landing to make their life easier, to make it accessible for people who wouldn't
Mhm.
wouldn't otherwise participate in Burning Man. But there's also value in the transformation of the shared hardship, right? So it's like an ayahuasca ceremony because you want it to be intense, but not so intense that nobody goes to it, right?
Exactly.
Not everyone's David Goggins can run 100-mile desert race type things. So how do we make it
Yeah.
accessible enough, but also not too comfortable? We lose the value of going through hardship together.
Exactly. Exactly. It is a very fine balance, you know, like that needs to be kept between those two. Um, and for us, it's like it's important to have that, you know, feminine nurturing element, um,
Hmm.
and at the same time, embracing the principles.
Okay, so to that point, sort of the masculine, feminine energetics, right?
Mhm.
With the masculine is more structural, more disciplined, more like here's your shift, right? It's your
Mhm.
responsibility, like do this, otherwise, there are some consequences, XYZ, right? You've been
Mhm. Mhm.
told, right? Like that. So I'm curious, in terms of the feminine leadership style, how would you? foster the adherence to shifts, as let's actually make it, specific to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, leading by example, it is the most important thing. Like I feel like if people see what we're doing with the amount of work that it takes, and they know they are a little bit close from us, they them are empowered and incentivized to do it because they have an idea of how much it is.
Mm-hmm.
um, and I feel for me it feels right to communicate a lot, to share what's happening, to share like our experience, and to share from the heart, to try to be open hearted with and have an open communication with our campers. That would.
Okay, actually, on that note, real quick,
Mhm,
because I think that's a key nugget that you just share with
mhm.
fellow camp leaders. So curious, do you share that? Do you make a point to share that? Let's see, how do I ask this question? Okay, you know how when you run stand-up meetings, there's a specific meeting format, right? So if you make that into a skill to share where you're coming from your heart every step of the way, then that could be, in my mind, effective, right? So if
Mhm.
you can scale that, so all of your camp leaders, all of your committee leaders can come from that place, that could be really cool. So how do you how do I say this? How do you train your committee members to come from that place?
So what we do is
Uh,
a monthly call
mm,
that is that the committee of community organizes, and what we do is a sharing circle, and
oh, okay.
we bring a different topic. Sometimes there's different people that lead it within our camp,
Mm,
that lead that specific day and circle. And maybe we do small meditation, a meditation to ground, and then we we share a practice, and then we start with sharing ourselves, no, where we're at. If we're going to talk about the, I don't know, bringing up a wound or something, or a fear, maybe related to Burning Man, and we
mm,
we talk about this. We talk about what's bringing coming up for us,
mm,
um, in the journey to coming there. If there is anything from the past that comes up, what is making us uncomfortable, or what is making us resistant,
mm-hmm,
and also opening the conversation with people towards how do they feel about these shifts, how do they feel about like this part of like the community and Burning Man principles. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
this, I feel like we do it through calls and sharing circles.
I love that idea,
Mm-hmm,
actually. So you ritualize the sharing part into a monthly thing,
mm-hmm,
and then you ritualize the meditation to ground, sharing practice, sharing
mm-hmm,
ourselves. And I'm
mm-hmm.
assuming at some point you get to business, right? In some
Yeah,
or
we
no.
do a different call.
Oh, okay. So there's sharing circle and then business calls. Like, so you
Yeah,
separate the two.
yeah.
I see. Got it. I
Mhm.
like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. Hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about the importance of rituals? Why some rituals might not others, and what some rituals are effective, and what some rituals are not effective in terms of bringing people together?
Mm. Um, I can only talk from personal experience. I don't know what the rituals that we use. I understand that may not resonate with everyone, and
Sure.
maybe some people see it as as a different world, and maybe people even don't feel like they really identify with them. I feel like here respect is a huge value, um,
Hmm.
because in the end we are sharing rituals from an indigenous culture.
Hmm.
So and it's not a religion, and we try to communicate it properly, and to make people safe. And the rituals that we share are effective because they been weaved and created by a lot of a lineage of
Hmm.
um, a lot of with a lot of wisdom. It's something that it has been transmitted from family to family to family, and been experimented with, if you believe in that, of course, like which herbs to use, which
Hmm.
words to use. It's based on numerology, is based on astrology, is based on scent. It's brings all of the elements on how to communicate with them. So for me, this is why the Mexica rituals are effective.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I wouldn't know any other rituals because this is what I am studying.
Sure,
So
of course.
I don't know if I don't know. I'm sure that the African culture has so many other rituals, and the Chinese, But
Yep.
what I'm studying, and what we're sharing, is the Mexica.
So I guess what I'm asking is not so much the specific ritual, which what's effective and what's not. I'm more asking from the experiential design point of view,
Mm-hmm.
because we can ritualize everything and everything feels heavy because it's like very rigid, right? Very rigid. And then we cannot have any ritual at all and just seems not shall we say respectful enough of what could be, right? So there's a sweet spot somewhere of
Mm-hmm.
just having enough ritual where people feel reverence towards,
Mm-hmm.
a value, but not so many rituals where like, oh my
Yeah,
God, it's another ritual, right?
yeah, yeah.
so, so how do you strike that line? How do you find that
Yeah,
line?
I guess, for example, in the camp, we've been different rituals, different elements, the
Mhm,
the spiritual, and also then there is the music part of it. That is not only it's live music, is
mhm,
instrumentalists, is DJs, is and I feel like the curation of that.
mhm,
Um, that is not so much of one thing, and the talks, and no the different elements, and the steam bath, that each of its own, it's a ritual, and maybe just sharing it from an authentic place,
mhm,
and not to to show off, or to like share it because it's something you believe in, because it's something that you like, and the
mhm.
people that share it also do it from an authentic place. I feel that's what makes the difference.
Okay, so quick question there. So something you believe, okay, so a couple of things I hear. You offer rituals in, um, well, live music, steam bath, talks, content, and probably, I'm assuming, let me correct me if I'm wrong, how you start the day, how you finish the day, some kind of a thing like that, I'm assuming,
Hmm.
right? So,
Hmm.
and you also said you the speakers or the person in charge, the facilitator, they can bring in something they like, something they believe in. This is what
Hmm.
I had gathered so far.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So now the question then is, how do you then, for you, because you're looking at the whole programming,
Hmm.
how do you then um, manage it so that it doesn't become a mishmash of all kinds of different rituals, right? It's from
Hmm.
Chinese, from Japan, from Mexico, from then it's like, oh, what is this? How do you as the macro thinking point of view curate the kind of ritual that like that's in alignment.
Yeah, I think it is very in a kind of like a personal way of our own lifestyle. Like,
Mm,
for example, the programming, usually we weave it between myself, Magdalena, and Raquel, two other of a part collaborators and team and campers. And the way we did it is like, okay, what worked last year? How do we want to wake up? Maybe like usually an embodiment practice when we wake up feels right, to move the body. um, and then usually like, okay, at noon, around noon is when the heat is the strongest. So at this time, there's a need for chill, for being
mm,
sitting down. And so at this time it's good to maybe to offer a panel, or
mm,
a moment where people are going to be, needing for this type of energy. Um, and then usually we have like, so in the mornings we have the embodiment practice, then we have the panel, then usually we have well, food, obviously, breakfast, lunch,
mm,
and then usually we have a ceremony or an activation throughout sunset or a little bit
mm,
before sunset. The steam bath was running, it's open all day, most of the day. And then at night, we host an open mic. We call it open mic session. We have one open mic session during lunchtime,
mm,
and then a concert at night.
mm,
So open mic sessions are more like a lot of musicians coming together, jamming together, and the night concerts are more like formal concert where also live musicians, performers come and share their offerings. And at this time, maybe at night, it's for some people it's really good. Some people sleep at night, some
mm,
people do go to so having an energy where either they came back from the playa. And so it's very intuitive, I feel.
mm.
It's very intuitive, very like also based on having a good flow, what works with our community and experience of seeing, what worked in the beginning and what didn't work, and also leaving space to breathe.
Do you are you an expert in ceremonies and rituals? Do you just kind of bring it out whenever you feel the community needs this, and you just bring a ritual in
I
like that?
wouldn't say I'm an expert myself. I do feel that many of our campers are very good at doing that.
Mm,
Maybe I what I do is yeah, feeling into the energy and maybe telling one of them, how do you feel? Many things happen organically also. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing about having lots of domain experts, right?
Yeah.
You can just like, hey, you do it. Like, okay, sure, I'll do a song, I'll do a dance, I'll
Uh-huh.
cook something, I'll do a
Yeah, a lot of
poem.
campers, sometimes ask, is it, is this a good? We leave also some the everyday space for campers offering something.
Mm,
um, and sometimes it's just they ask, and if it's the right moment and there's nothing, they share. So it's
mm,
a lot of happened a lot this year.
mm. So for those who are wondering, like, is that part of the requirement? You gotta have some special power to join Sacbe.
No, not really. I mean, just being happy to contribute towards
Mm,
like taking the shifts and adhering to Burning Man principles. Those are
hmm.
the two main, like, if you don't agree with that, then you can't be part of Sacbe.
Yeah, actually, on that note, I want to bring back the question of, and this is a topic I ask all Think Him.
Mhm.
So this is not just you. I ask all Think Him organizers. There's a tension between this idea of making as you call it, as a soft landing for people. Some people call it convenience camp, a camp of
Mhm.
convenience, right? Some people in the harshest term would be plug and play camps, right?
Mhm.
So that's and then in each camp there's a line somewhere between convenience and plug and play. So for you, for Sacbe, what is the line between okay, we're just offering convenience, soft landing for people, and then like we're not gonna cross the line of plug and play or whatever. Like for you, what's the line between that?
Mhm. So I feel like we have both, some
Mhm.
convenience and some all the way burn. It depends on the person,
Mhm.
on the camper. It depends on their situation, financially speaking. Sometimes, you know, emotionally speaking, and we offer different options
Mm.
for depending of these people, and also what is their offering towards the community and the camp.
Mm. Mm. Do you mind going into details? Like I don't.
Yeah,
I think I theoretically understand, but I
so
don't really know what it
we
means.
have we have a pitch your own tent option.
Ah, got it.
Like you can either come and set your tent, and sometimes is you don't contribute financially towards this, if you are going to be, depending of the situation of each person, no.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the fees are lower in this situation, and then there's a scale. There's
Mm-hmm.
a scale, and it
Sure.
starts there. And then the what we don't do is bringing driving RVs,
Mm-hmm.
or bringing RVs for people.
Mm-hmm.
um what we don't do is bike service and uh, personal concierge service. I don't know, buying personal items, things
Mm-hmm.
like this.
Mm-hmm.
um we do what we do offer to the people are in RVs is servicing their RVs in terms of like
Mm-hmm.
gray water
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
electricity,
Mm-hmm.
for example.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is a scale, and I guess the what we are not willing to do is to do a full concierge. So, we don't
Mm-hmm.
do a concierge service in that sense.
Yeah, got it. So the line for you, for Sacbe is all right. We don't, no concierge.
Yeah,
As in, they don't need to do anything. Everything is ready. They just show up, and everything is
yeah,
already
and
there.
also there's no exceptions with the shifts.
Mm.
Also, no, everyone in the camp must do their shifts.
So question. So enforcement is let's see, maybe a softer word for enforcement. I don't know how to. What's another word for enforcement? But enforcement is challenging, especially for volunteer or situations, especially for Burning Man, because Burning Man is all about the flow and all
Yeah,
that. So how do you? What happens when let's say I'm in your camp and I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm gonna do 2 shifts, but I don't show up, and then what happens?
So this year we were writing the names on the shame board in the main lounge.
In the main lounge for everyone to see.
Yeah,
You
in the
didn't show
middle of
up.
the lounge, we were writing. And then when people saw their names, sometimes they were like, "I'm so sorry," and then they made it up.
I see.
They were like, "I'll do another one."
Uh,
Um, that was what we were doing this year. But next year
do
we
you
want.
think that it works?
It worked until
Uh-huh.
Friday.
Until Friday. Oh, because
Yeah.
there's no consequence. No one is gonna see the
But then on Friday, people starting to show up less.
uh-huh.
You know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it got
Okay.
like less, and that didn't work anymore.
I see.
So we need to do something different next year.
I see. That's funny. That's actually really funny. Um,
And also not invite, and they don't get, if people don't show up for their shifts, if someone missed one shift and then tell us and then replaced it,
Uh-huh.
it's fine. But if there is someone that completely didn't care, they don't get invited back next year.
I see. Okay, great.
Mhm.
So that's another, shall we say, incentive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Um, what do you, let's see, how do I ask this question? What's the dream? So say everything you continue to do this,
Hmm.
what would you like to see in terms of the camp, the missions of the camp, how people, take what they learn from camp and then propagate? Like, what's the dream for Sacbe?
Yeah. I would like the first in terms if I see first in terms of sustainability, we would like to be a zero carbon have a zero carbon footprint as a camp. That would be a one huge mission for us.
Mm,
Um, it would be in terms of the community would be that it works so that there's so many campers that are empowered
mm,
that the core team feels that it's not carrying so much more load
mm,
than the rest, that is balanced, that we function as a network, that it
mm,
is
mm, mm,
decentralized, completely
mm,
decentralized.
mm,
um and yeah, and also that we keep growing, spiritually speaking, that our community solidifies, that our community um gets to know each other, and our bonds grow uh, deep. So
mm.
this is for me what it is I see as the mission of the camp.
Okay, so each one of them, it's a podcast by itself. So, uh,
Mhm.
which one would you like to start? So let me ask you this question though.
Mhm.
Um, I know one of the theme from my understanding of you is you're really committed to building community,
Mhm.
and you had mentioned in your bio that you wanted to make it into a permanent community, right?
Mhm.
So how are you sustaining the bond from Burning Man throughout the year to building ultimately a permanent community? Like, tell me of what are
Mhm.
you thinking about? What do you envision?
I mean, the vision of that other project that is you know separate from Burning Man,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
uh, because we cannot, we need to always keep in mind the commodification.
Mhm.
um so definitely there is the people, the campers, and the community that is around us is the same, but it always needs to be, decommodified.
So okay, so great. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Hmm.
How do you separate, because
Yeah,
you have a community throughout the year, and then
yeah,
you need to compartmentalize Burning Man to be decommodified, and
yeah,
everywhere else you can be commodified. So how do you
yeah.
how do you carve
Mm,
out
that's what
the line?
we have a different Inner Refuge is
Uh-huh.
the name of the brand,
Mhm.
and that we use outside Burning Man.
Mhm.
And the retreats that we do, the retreats are under Inner Refuge name, and the community that we are envisioning for Baja California,
Mhm.
its name is Inner Refuge, and the vision is to create a community, a self-sustainable community, a real estate development. I don't know how you would call it, a,
Mhm.
a residential home community,
Mhm.
um, and a retreat center. That is the vision for Inner Refuge.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, I mean, this is great.
Uh-huh.
So So if what I'm hearing is to basically delineate, to separate the kind of modification effort, that's
Mm-hmm.
Sacbe. So that's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not commodify. The other one is Inner
Mm-hmm.
Refuge, that's commodify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And mhm,
And also, um, we do the fundraisers for the camp, that go as Sacbe camp
mm,
fundraisers.
mhm, mhm,
So we separate the what's happening, the programming. It's completely independent,
mhm, mhm.
one from the other. Also, the programming is different. The way it's weaved is different,
The way it's what?
weaved and designed.
Design. Got it. All
Mhm.
right. Okay. Now the overall purpose, the direction is the same, just how it's
Mm.
being designed is different. Is that correct?
Yeah, I feel like Burning Man gives us an opportunity to experiment a lot,
Mm-hmm.
to experiment, to play,
Mm-hmm.
there's also so many people that are into Burning Man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very good way to start experimenting these things, like uh the NFT side of it. I feel
Mm.
much easier than starting it in a business, you
Mm.
know so I feel like there's a lot of learning that we take from Burning Man in that
Mm.
sense as a community.
Okay. So since you talked about experimentation and
Mhm.
NFT, is that a creative way to fundraise for Sakbe? Is
We're
that
just
is that
starting to think about it now. We haven't
I
done it
see.
yet,
I see.
but I hopefully this coming year, 2023, we'll
Mm-hmm.
start trying it out.
Okay. So quick
Uh-huh.
question there. So I was speaking to the architect of the temple this year,
Yeah,
and he shared with me in passing that it took $600,000 to build the
yeah,
temple. It's like, whoa, I don't think about it when I'm there, but in my mind, okay, it kind of makes sense, right? A few years of design, labor and all those the material, all those things come together. It kind of makes,
yeah.
it makes sense. So in terms of running a think camp,
Mhm.
and most people don't think about the financial resources it requires to put together programming and all the material, all the things come together.
Yeah.
So knowing what you know today, what would you tell the younger Maria about, like, hey, here's best practices when it comes to fundraising, operating, within budget and all those things that young Maria may or may not know about.
Um, mm, from my experience, fundraisers from and at the scale where we're at, because maybe Mayan Warrior is a completely different scale. They're fundraisers. They have a 4,000 attendees.
Mm-hmm.
So our at the scale that we're at, um, maybe fundraisers like gatherings and events and parties aren't usually more of a way to build community rather
Mm-hmm.
than actually raising funds. Although it helps a little bit, it's not major. I
Mm,
feel like for us in terms of budgeting and financials, what works the best is having a plan and sticking to it, because sometimes it's tempting to be like, let's add this and let's add,
mhm,
it's a I feel like we all want to bring so many offerings.
mhm,
And sometimes I see that there's camps and camp leads that want to create a lot, and this is why, financially speaking, things get out of control.
mhm,
So for us, it is like just budgeting it properly, having an accurate budget and sticking to
mhm.
it. It's
I
what.
see. And then most of your funds come from the
Campus.
the camp fees, the ticketing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So
Solely from campus.
solely, I
Yeah.
see. Got it. Okay, good to know. And do you have someone who's like an expert in terms of finance, financial operation? Now, I'm asking that question
Uh,
specifically because because uh, I don't want to name camps, but some camps are run by visionaries, right? And then they don't have a essentially a CFO person to say,
yeah.
hey, calm down,
Yeah.
stick within budget. So they usually run over.
Yeah.
So their recommendation is good to have a counterbalance, like someone who's
Uh,
really good with numbers, somebody who's a visionary, then they can come together and run camps,
okay.
effectively.
Yeah. So far, we don't have a CFO. It's been us, the core team, running the financials and the budget.
Okay.
We do have advisors now,
Hmm.
from this year, that we started doing the committees and the committee of finance, that are
Hmm.
is helping us to make the transition to the NFTs and all of this, and we are getting a lot of advice. Um,
Okay.
on this side, but not in terms of budgeting.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that on that note, so what have you learned about NFTs as a possible way to help finance, camp going forward? Is it just one time? Is it so every time, every year you make a new NFT, or is it, a membership type model where you just make one NFT and then you can cruise for the next 10 years?
I think there's different ideas that have shared our advisors have shared. That, for example, we're thinking of building an art card this year.
Hmm.
So maybe that the art card itself is an NFT.
Hmm.
And all of the community has a part and the ownership of this.
Hmm.
um, and also making pieces, creating pieces, um,
Creating what?
uh,
Pieces?
pieces like art pieces,
Oh,
or
to put it on the card?
no, and for like to sell as NFTs, that are maybe made by artists within the camp.
I see. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Or pieces of the camp, you know
Mhm.
this is another idea. And also, to start, um maybe selling, also implementing other aspects of it, like being able to take crypto, currencies, and to get paid through crypto.
Okay.
Like there's many ideas that have come up, and this
Okay.
is not my area of expertise at
Sure,
all.
sure. Well, I guess
So this is what I got.
yeah, yeah, we'll follow up in a few years time to
Yeah.
see which one works the best.
Yeah.
One of the main reason why I want to talk to transformational camp or conscious camp organizers is this, because I'm a huge nerd when it comes to transformation. I
Hmm.
personally believe that everything we do, everything that we see in this world is an extension of our consciousness.
Hmm.
So if we want to, make the world better, in my opinion, the start is consciousness shift, right? Awareness, conscious transformation, all these things. So I'm curious for you as the Think Camp organizer, also for Inner Refuge, you must have seen transformation, lots of it. So what do you track as the impact that you're making? Is it at the level of awareness? Is it at the level of behavior change? Is it at the level of, meaningful connections? How do you know that what you do, all the effort that you put in, all the life that you put in, is
Yeah.
making a difference, in the world that's meaningful for you?
Yeah. I I think for me, if like for example, in terms of growth, of
Mm-hmm.
spiritual growth and evolution, or like awareness,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the things that are I notice, if people are growing in that sense, of if our community is growing in that sense, is if our campers are showing up because they are getting a sense of community,
Mm.
and the and consciousness about each other, and awareness of each other, that if they don't show up, it's going to be um, having repercussions in within our community, within our team. So people showing up to their shifts is a way for us to track this
Huh.
growth. People seeing people participate, and getting involved, and giving feedback, and wanting to take on more responsibility, and also seeing people of our in our community creating different bubbles around the world, people living in Miami getting together, people in Mexico City getting together, people in LA getting together and organizing their own events and their own gatherings to meet with each other.
Mm.
um, and also um, the level of participation that exists post Burning Man, and the interest that the people start having with the practices that we are offering. Um,
Wait, back up one sentence. Say that again. What?
the level of interest and participation that we get post Burning Man in the offerings, in the spiritual offerings that we have.
I don't understand that. Can you say it in a different way?
Yeah, for example, if we are teaching a meditation practice
Mm-hmm.
at the camp, and then campers start reaching out after to follow up with that meditation,
I
with that
see.
practice specifically,
I see.
they want to continue diving deeper with that practice. I feel like that's also a way for us to, to track the growth,
Mm-hmm.
to see if we see that there is engagement. Um,
Okay.
and in more logistic things, aspects to it, like if we see a reduction in the petrol consumption, if we see
Mm-hmm.
a reduction in the water use,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like also this is a way to track the growth.
Mm. Do you okay? So you mean tracking the camp consumption, right? Not the individual consumption.
Yeah, the camp.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay, great. Actually, on that note, real quick, because I know that one big theme is environmental wellness, right?
Hmm, hmm,
There are many different words in the social media that you have around essentially, planet alignment, environmental wellness. So the critics of Burning Man, when they say, "Hey, Burning Man itself is not carbon neutral,"
yeah.
in my mind, I'm a fan of Burning Man, so I say, well, it may not be carbon neutral. It may not be even carbon. It's well, not may not. It's carbon negative, but
Mhm,
it's worthwhile because it changes people's mindset.
mhm,
People's minds are blown, and therefore they're gonna go out and be a better human. So in my mind, worth it.
mhm,
For a camp who is about environmental wellness and planet alignment, how do you, let's say, reconcile? How when people say, it's a long way of asking the question.
mhm,
How do you respond to the critics of people who say
mhm.
a Burning Man itself is carbon negative?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a paradox, that I, as a camp lead, I have to live with and work on, like because it is a lot. It is the way, at least, that we do it as a camp. It's not full tents and zero ACs. We have ACs. We have um, yeah, mainly ACs are huge, and RVs. Um, and I would say that meanwhile, I think what it is kind of like important for me is to know that we as a camp are doing whatever we can to change this, because it is there, it does bring a lot of growth for many people, and the level of the connections, the friendships that come out of it, it brings so much positive impact in people. I do think, and when people start also getting deeper, diving deeper into the principles, I can only see from the impact that it has had in my life, so it does make positive impact. It's just that it is a paradox, that part of the environment, because it is not the most environmentally friendly gathering. There's a lot of room for improvement there. And for us, what we do is like work with different organizations to even our carbon, to become carbon neutral, to compensate with our print every year for every camper. Start This year we did all of the recycling, the all of the habits, reprogramming, putting a lot of energy in reprogramming and communicating with our campers, and that our campers take these habits into their lives, into their lifestyles.
So
um,
quick question there.
mhm,
Because it sounds like it's not just awareness. It's not just, hey, this is cool during
mhm,
Burning Man, but I'm gonna go back and
mhm,
be a huge energy consumer and
yeah,
buying Amazon boxes and this and that,
yeah,
right? I'm but by the way, I'm guilty of it, so I'm not
yeah.
saying I'm
Same.
better. So what have you found to be effective in actually causing behavior shifts post Burning Man for your people?
Mm, I would say, what is effective is the communication, like constant communication. And also, like that when you are there, you value it more because it's scarce.
It's
The scarcity. I don't know how you like it.
yes, yeah,
It's not as
scarcity.
abundant.
Hmm.
It's not as abundant. So the fact that you have to shower quickly,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
you need to be mindful. And we do talk about these things a lot at the camp,
Hmm.
about like turn off your ACs. And when you're at home, also turn off your ACs.
Hmm.
Like it's not only here. Um, um, Sometimes it's okay to feel the heat,
Hmm.
and get our bodies to be to acclimatize,
Hmm.
to go through these moments of like not always instantly seek for um, you know comfort and that. So um, how can it be measured? How is it measured? There's nothing that we are no, there's no way that we are measuring it like
Hmm.
scientifically
Hmm.
yet. I just say the only way that I measure it so far is by getting the
Mm.
feedback from our campers,
Mm.
of
Mm.
how it has made an impact in their lives, how
Mm.
they made adjustments in their habits after going to Burning Man and to our camp.
Mm. 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 I love it. Thank you so much. Um,
Hmm.
okay, so I know that you have to go in a moment. So I wanted to segue to what would you say if people are listening right now and you're giving them one idea that's gonna really empower them to start forming purpose-driven communities? What would you, knowing everything you know today, if you could just give them a couple of pointers, what would you say to the people who desire purpose-driven communities?
I would say first, it all starts for me with doing work on myself.
Mm.
Um, it starts with looking at myself, on having a strong spiritual, path. Also, um, using different therapies and techniques to look at myself.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can have a good relationship with the people that surround me, and and with environment, to learn how to live more uh, closer to the earth, more aware of, like, and grateful of what we have. um, and and then from there I feel that everything flows.
Mm.
Like, once you're like doing all this work on yourself, and you're aware of your surroundings and grateful for everything that you have, and maintaining and nourishing the relationships that you have, then community happens. Everything,
Mm.
or everything that you want to create, your projects, your visions. If you what you do is want to create a, a, a a community and a camp and a gathering, that is sustainable, or that is real,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of, like, it has a is the soul, and the soul
The
is you.
soul.
The
Mm-hmm.
soul. Uh-huh.
Mm.
And the soul is you, that soul is your soul, and the soul of the community that is around you.
Mm.
So it's like it has the energy of each community, of each
Mm.
leader. So I would say it's starting with inner work.
So I'm gonna push back just a little bit,
Yeah.
just a little bit. So say I'll make it personal, right? The younger CK is very much in his head. You know,
Mm.
he did the personal work, yes, of course, and but he's scared. He's like, yeah, you know, I really want it, but I don't know what to start. What would you say to the younger CK?
Mm, I maybe joining a community, a
Mm-hmm.
community that like that he is inspired by,
Mm-hmm.
and learning from it,
Mm-hmm.
and surrounding himself by people that he admires,
Mm-hmm.
and that he feels they are um, coherent,
Mm-hmm.
congruent, that I think that could be a good beginning.
Beautiful. Any last thoughts, parting thoughts for people, the younger CKs, the younger Marias, who dreams about having community, who dreams about forming their own think camps? Any last thoughts at all for anyone who's listening?
I mean, I would really like to speak a little bit about Planet Buyback, if that's,
Yes, of
yeah.
course. Yeah.
So, Planet, I think one of the biggest gifts and takeaways and results of creating community for me has been the creation of a nonprofit organization called Planet Buyback, that is formed by Maxa, Mayan Warrior, Ondalinda, and Sacbe communities. And it's dedicated to select different vet different organizations that are dedicated to land and ocean preservation. Um, and I feel that for me, this is the magic of it, the magic and the most important work that we can do if we're like building communities is one, collaboration, and forming networks, and using this power that we have, and this access to community that we have, to make positive impact.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this I think would be my last uh, my last words. Use the Once you do it, and if you're doing it, use it to create positive impact.
So I actually looked into Planet Backpack. I do have a question there. I'm glad you brought it up. I like
Mhm,
the concept. Essentially, it's a platform, a crowdfunding platform
mhm,
for preservation projects. Yes?
mhm,
Is that
mhm.
did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Awesome. Very good. So question is, why not build build it on top of existing platforms like Kickstarter, that's already having a huge user base, and you can
Mhm,
just make compelling creatives, which
mhm,
your community is very good at, tell compelling stories, and then
mhm,
use that to drive traffic and the kind of
mhm.
impact that you want to make.
Yeah, because we're using the platform to generate more awareness about each organization,
Hmm.
and it's a project that we started throughout the pandemic, and until now we haven't been able, like, we're gonna be launching next year
Hmm.
properly.
Hmm.
So the idea is to use the events that we already host, and
Hmm.
also create new events to raise
Hmm.
awareness for these platforms. So if for these organizations, so
Hmm.
through our platform, we can we can show more. We can share the content that we create. We can design it in the way it serves the best.
So not to belabor on this point, and again, what where it doesn't compute for me is the user base is already on Kickstarter. So
Hmm.
your group of people are very very good at creating compelling story,
Hmm.
and then and you're also very good at curating projects as worthy. You have relationship with the indigenous elders. So in
Hmm.
my mind, where it doesn't compute is, why not just make um, basically raise funding on Kickstarter, and then
Yeah,
still do the the art, the documentaries, the fund the community projects. You know what I mean? So I'm right
yeah,
that right.
because it is we don't for us Kickstarter, it's not the it's a great platform, but it doesn't meet all of our needs.
Mm,
And we are doing something to also bring community together around it, create these
I see. Got
gatherings,
it. Got it.
these gatherings, these trips to the jungle to visit this
Got it.
organization. So it's through the coming together of the three and the merging the three, the four communities and the four databases and the four everything, and it's through the platform that we communicate everything because everything is together.
Got it. So let me make sure I understand, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm asking because I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah,
Is you want to not just, hey, here's some money, go do
yeah,
this thing, because that's essentially what Kickstarter is
yeah,
accustomed to. You want to really attract people who is invested in
yeah.
the cause, and who wants to be educated, who wants to visit the land, who wants to put their resources into something that they believe in. So this for you is a rallying cry of a community beacon. I'm mixing analogies, but you understand that. It's
Mhm.
a beacon of people who is interested in this. Is that an accurate
Yeah,
recap
it
of
is
what you said?
accurate. Yeah, 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 it is accurate, and we feel like creating our platform so we can share the content that is created through these events, and this it fits better our needs than using an independent platform.
Beautiful. Well, with that said, Maria, just really thank you for being here, telling your story, and it's very inspiring. You've been doing this for 13 years, and now you're using the power of community to curate funds and people and who are interested in bringing more planet alignment, environmental wellness into being. So really, really appreciate being here and sharing your story on Noble Warrior.
No, thank you for having me, CK.
Beautiful.